lesson. All right, so today we are going to discuss something called wrapper classes. Last two classes we discussed strings and how they interact with other things, how we can use a few string methods to do different things. Today we're going to talk about a couple of other important classes. So if we remember our difference between primitive and reference types, we've discussed this several times now, so I'm sure we all remember the differences. Primitive types are built into the language, where reference types are created by programmers using primitive types. There are, however, certain scenarios in which certain types of objects will only interact with other objects. They won't interact with primitive types. So if we want to represent a primitive type value as an object, we can use something called a wrapper class, which will convert some primitive type data value to an object or a reference type value, and it'll store it in a wrapper class. It'll wrap primitive data as an object. So a wrapper class is going to exist for each of the primitive data types that we talked about that are built into Java. So from our 4 primitive types, we have Boolean, char, int, and double. Each of those has a corresponding wrapper class: Boolean, character, integer, and double. We can see the difference between the two are lowercase and uppercase, because our classes are going to have an uppercase first letter. That's just how we have been talking about classes. And char and int are going to have a full word instead of just their shortened self, but you can tell the difference always by the lowercase versus uppercase first letter. We're going to talk specifically about integer and double in this lesson, so strap in. Why would we want to use wrapper classes at all? So wrapper classes are going to contain special values that are going to correspond to their types. So we talked already about we talked about some special values held within the integer class, like the minimum and maximum values for the integer type. They'll also hold useful methods that are good at converting between types. And sometimes a method that is implemented will expect an object value instead of a primitive type. And like I said before, some object values are not going to interact with non-object data. So they will not interact with primitive values. They only interact with objects. And we'll get into some more examples of that in future lessons. So if I want to instantiate an object with a wrapper class as its type, we can use a constructor just like we would for any other class we've learned about. So if I make an integer object called myInt, I'm going to use my new keyword, my integer constructor, and I'm going to pass some integer value to store in myInt. Same for my double. I'm going to make it a double type object. I'm going to use my double constructor, pass a double parameter. Just like any other time we have worked with data, you need to make sure that the types are matching. So I can't pass 15.0 to my integer constructor because I can't convert a double to an integer. So just need to always make sure that we are using the right type of value. It's the same here as it has been pretty much everywhere else. So some useful fields and methods within each of those integer and double classes. We have the integer.minValue and integer.maxValue. We discussed that earlier. I think it was in unit 1. And those are going to store the smallest and largest possible integer values. So if we reference those fields from the integer class directly, we don't have to have an integer type object. We can just say our integer class dot min value and max value, those will tell us the minimum and maximum possible values that can be held in either an int variable or an integer object. So we can just use those values wherever we might need to make use of that kind of information. And then we have our intValue and doubleValue methods for accessing the values within an integer or double typed object. So if I make an integer and a double variable or object, like I did before, I can make an int I equaling my int dot intValue, and grab the integer value from my int. I can grab the double value from my dub, save that into a double variable, not an object, just a regular primitive variable, and I can print the value of each of those, and it'll work just fine. That is, however, a lot of effort. If I every time I want to make an integer object, I need to use my constructor, and every time I want to get its value, I need to call that intValue method or that doubleValue method. It's a lot of extra effort. Fortunately, there is an easier way to accomplish this task. Java has a pair of processes called Autoboxing and Unboxing that will automatically convert an object with a wrapper class type to its primitive counterpart, and vice versa. It'll convert a primitive value to its object type. So let's talk about each of those two things. Autoboxing is the process of converting a primitive value, so a regular int or double value, into an object of its corresponding wrapper class type. And it's automatically done by Java during the runtime of your program. So what this means is that instead of writing my integer object, my int, equals new integer, I don't actually need to call my constructor. I can just say my integer object is going to equal an integer value, and it will automatically transform that primitive value to be stored in that object, in that class. And the same I can do for my my double. And this is kind of the same thing that happens when we use a string. We can use the string constructor, or we can just create a string object and set it equal to a string literal, and that will work just the same. Does that concept of how we can turn a primitive value into an object make sense? Sweet. All right. It automatically happens. It's very convenient. And unboxing is the exact opposite of that, where we convert an object value into its corresponding primitive type. Also automatically done at runtime by the Java compiler. So if I make an integer object called myInt equaling 12, I can save the value in myInt, inside that object, into myInt2, which is going to be an actual primitive integer variable. So this will store also the integer 12, but this time it's going to be as just a primitive value rather than storing it within an object. So this is an automatic process. Java will automatically autobox and unbox when the formal parameter of a method is of a primitive or wrapper class, and the actual parameter is the other one. So in our rectangle class we've been talking about, both of our parameters are of the int value type. They're of the primitive integer type. If I make an object of the integer type, and I make it equal to the integer 3, I can pass my width, that variable, that object, in the place where my formal parameter is a primitive integer, and it will automatically unbox that object value and store it in the primitive integer formal parameter. Does that make sense? We can automatically use either one in the place of the other. So autoboxing and unboxing allows us as programmers to write cleaner, more easily readable code. They let us use those primitive and wrapper class types interchangeably without having to perform any typecasting. It'll do all of that transformation for us behind the scenes. We don't even have to worry about any of it. So both of those classes, both double and integer, are part of the same package as the string class. They're both within the java.lang package. So both of them are within the number category and the number, I guess, sub package. But both those classes are stored within our java.lang package. A quick word of warning: you cannot use typecasting to turn an object of a wrapper class type into a primitive value. So if I make a double object called my dub equaling 12.5, I cannot just typecast with my int typecast that double object into an integer. I will get that incompatible types because double, that object class type, cannot be converted to the primitive integer type. If I want to do that, I can use the intValue method built into the double class to actually retrieve the integer value from the double value being stored within the class, within the object. All right, I realize I didn't stop to ask questions very much, because all of what I just talked about makes sense. Any questions on? All right. And that is the end of our presentation today. So I will stop recording.